And we are live.
We made it.
We made it. So, everybody, thank you for joining us, even with the delay. You know that Christy is heading for a onslaught of really bad weather, and we have Ken and Rachel here. We also have Thom Cantrall, and I think you, Ken and Rachel, you guys are somewhat fans of Thom, right?
I am.
Well, just in the most recent times that we've heard you. Now, to be honest, Thom, I hadn't really paid that much attention to a lot of the
External,
other channels and other people's adventures and all that. We kind of came into this happenstance, and everything that we've discovered along our way is identical to everything you've discovered along your way. We've just done it in a shorter period of time, but it's extremely fascinating to listen to you over the past few months, and
we really enjoyed how much we actually have in common, because it's difficult to find people of like mind
and people who will think about what's happening rather than reacting to what's happening.
Right.
That's always been the.
I think our audio kind of cut out just a little bit.
No, that's
I'm
him.
all right.
Again.
He's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
There he goes.
There he is.
All right.
Can you repeat
Am I
that
still here?
Yeah.
I said, I find, it's been 62 years, actually 62 years tomorrow, the incident happened. It got me started in this. And that's when Jerry Crew returned to work on Monday morning, and found the set of tracks around his cat. They were building road in Northern California, actually, and very close to the area where Bob and Roger filmed Patty. Their equipment yard was the same place Bob and Roger camped when they were there 9 years later. But a paleontologist by the name of Ivan Sanderson, a very famous fellow, he's written 13 books on mammals and mammals of the world, holds 5 doctorates, and he came to investigate that incident. And his article that he wrote on it, his paper that he wrote on it, said that that being descended a 78-degree slope and then walked up the road and around Jerry's cat, on down around some other equipment and up the road, and dropped down into a canyon. And that happened, believe it or not, in 1958, 62 years ago tomorrow.
Wow.
And you've been there since the whole beginning of the word Bigfoot even came into existence, the term Bigfoot.
The word Bigfoot came from that incident. The newspaper editor in Eureka, California, don't get old, name just jumped right out of my mind, wrote a newspaper article. That's how I found out about it. He wrote an article that appeared in the Eureka Humboldt Times, and then the wire services picked it up, and the Santa Rosa paper picked it up and published it. That's where I saw it, and it kind of lit my fire.
Yeah.
But in that article, Andrew Ginzoli is the fellow's name. Andrew Ginzoli used the word Bigfoot, and that's the first time it had ever appeared in print.
You know what? I have always said, and I'll stick by this quote, and many people can, back this up. The steeper the terrain, the more chances you'll find them, because they know that humans cannot traverse that terrain. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I know exactly what you mean. And that is the purpose of that mid-tarsal break in their foot.
Right.
It allows them
They
to
can-
walk flat-footed on that type of terrain, and we can't do it.
It gives them an entirely different center of gravity, a different balance than
Exactly.
what we have.
And I've
Exactly.
actually played with the whole, obviously I can't play with the whole mid-tarsal break thing, but the walking one foot in front of the other. And once you get used to it, my balance actually got better. It's the weirdest thing. Once you get used to it, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know?
That's actually a natural gait for a barefoot. Okay.
Right.
Our walking changed to the side by side when we put shoes on our feet. I just found that out this week talking to my podiatrist, my farrier. Actually, it's last week, but that's what caused that. When we were barefooted, we walked foot placement the same way. Our hips don't work the same way theirs do. Okay, with our, we kind of pole vault over our knees, okay, and land the heavy heel strike. They don't. Their foot comes up, swings out and around, and comes down flat. It'll land flat on the ground in front of them, and ours doesn't do that. Ours lands at an angle with the heel of it hitting first. And so when you look at the track, first thing you want to do if you want to find out whether it's real or not, see where the deepest part is. On ours, it'll be the heel. On theirs, it'll be the front half of the foot, because they land flat with their entire weight distributed over the whole foot. Then they swing forward, and their entire weight then's on the front half only. So it will depress further into the ground than ours will that way.
Usually,
So
if we find a partial print, it'll be that front half, not the back half.
The front, exactly, because there's twice as much pounds per square inch on the ground there.
You know what's weird is, since we have Ken and Rachel here, we have you here, and we're all on the same page here. I have actually found literally a partial print in my yard in the middle of LA. Okay. On the only spot where the condensation drips from the rain gutter. It was 5.5 inches wide. And it was just the front part. And it went down 1.5 inches into the dirt.
Okay.
And
if you want to know the length of it.
Well, I mean, I did like a recreation of it because I have a window sitting right here, and if I were standing there just kind of peeking into the window and something scared me and I wanted to get away, it would be my right foot that would hit that spot going towards the back of the yard, and it blew my mind. I mean, I did have it on the channel for a little while. And I started getting comments that just, oh no, that was your foot. And I measured my foot. My foot's only 3.5 inches wide, 4 inches wide. This is 5.5 inches wide.
A 5.5 inch wide foot is a foot that is going to be 15 inches, 16 inches long. 15 inches, 14 to 15 inches long. Okay, that's going to be an individual that is somewhere around 7 to 7.5 foot tall.
This one that I've got in my lap, when I made it, my plaster mix was a little rough, so it's kind of chunky. But it's 18 inches long, 7.5 inches at the widest part.
Right. That's
that's a good one.
Beautiful calf.
This is really thick, but the heel, not as much. Like it drops.
Yeah.
Or
Hold that so you can see the cross section of it. Hold it so you can see it flat in cross section.
Like that?
No, just totally flat. Nope, other way. There we go, like that. you see exactly what you're talking about. You see how much thicker that front
Yeah,
half is than the back half.
It's
And
a
that's
good
exactly what we were talking about.
70% of it
Mm-hmm.
up there.
That's the smaller one. The
Mhm.
big one we
Yeah.
had was so big, the plaster literally broke in half
It was
at that same point.
it was 21 inches long. But
Yeah, and Christie's is good, man. It shows the mid-tarsal break right there in the
Yeah.
middle.
That's
You know
beautiful.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean that
We're-
takes something of considerable size and weight to make that print. Also, something of a physical nature to make a print in soil, right?
Absolutely. And absolutely.
So, I mean, a ghost ain't gonna leave footprints,
no,
you know.
you know,
Um,
it depends on the condition of the soil as well, because a lot of times we'll have really wet month, and then right now it's so dry
It
you
is
couldn't get a
horrible.
jackhammer into it. So
that's how my area is.
we
I have a
find
question for Tom after you
Mhm.
go.
Go ahead.
Okay, so sometimes we will find just impressions in the leaf litter or the pine straw, etc. But occasionally we will find feet and they go all the way to the bare dirt. There's no litter I mean, it's almost like it burns down into the dirt. Is that a vibrational rate that causes that when they come in?
I don't know exactly how they do that. I found the same thing, but I found that it's when they want to make sure that you see the footprint.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
They
Okay.
want you to be aware of it.
They want you to be aware of it. Exactly. And I don't know whether they wiggle the foot and create a vibration or what. We ran into that a lot in our research area in BC, Canada. A lot of that ground that was so conducive to research because it was just moss covered, and
I'm
it was
gonna
like working on a green carpet.
I'm gonna hold
And
this picture up to the screen for you, Tom. We
All
found
right.
this one today.
Maybe.
Oh, that's cool. That's beautiful. That's
But
beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
what we're talking about. It's like they put their foot in the pine litter and then just
It goes to dirt.
Just
Except
wiggle it.
for a
Yeah.
little-
right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I was
Yep.
kind of getting the impression that if they're coming in dimensionally, now here we go with the woo, but if they're coming in dimensionally, they're oscillating at such a fast speed, it's almost like the electricity of their body or the
Mm-hmm.
energy field is resonating so quickly it almost burns into the dirt.
Maybe. I don't know. It's
I just didn't
not
know.
not an area that I'm experienced in enough to comment. I've got my own thoughts, but I'm not sure that they're
I know it's a
substantial
wild
at all,
thought. I just couldn't find another thought.
You know, Rachel, I've often thought about that too and stuff, and like we've discussed, their vibrational frequency. What if it doesn't so much as burn into the dirt as it vibrates?
Well, that's
Kind of like a packer for when you dig a trench and you have to repack the soil so it doesn't sink. Well, once you add that vibration, that soil sinks.
well,
Maybe they're
like,
vibrating so
Right.
fast that even such a concrete style soil just, you know what I mean?
yeah, strike
Find it odd.
strike a tuning fork and hold it against dry dirt and watch it move.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now in Canada, where we were with the green moss, the moss was totally gone from the
I've got
footprint.
a couple of those too. That
Right.
And yeah, so here it is buried into the soil, and the moss that's everywhere isn't there.
Right.
Interesting concept.
Those are
I
my favorite.
don't know how they do that.
Those are my favorite
Yeah.
to find, are the ones in the moss because they are so distinct.
Yeah, and
no
that's weird
mistaking them.
because when a person steps on moss, we just depress the moss.
Mhm.
But
Right.
when they step on the moss, that moss just disappears. It is
It
down to the
destroys.
dirt.
That's right.
the most mind-blowing thing you would ever see. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the moss where it stepped? Where'd it go? You know, so
just food for thought. I just wondered if you'd come up with any theories on your end, because you've got a few more experiences than we got under our belt.
Theories, yes. Answers, no.
Right.
I think you're in line. I think you're in line with the vibrations. I think that's part of it. How they do it, or even why they do it, other than the fact that they want to make sure that was found.
Well,
but
yeah,
I found whole trackways that way.
Yeah, we only find them in certain spots, and that's what made me think if it's an entry point into a location or a space.
Now, sometimes we'll find a trackway in the woods of 10 or 11 footprints that just look like normal walking.
On top of the leaves or pine straw.
But they came from nowhere, and then they go to nowhere. You just 10 or 11 steps and gone.
That's another one that blows my mind. I was striking in a snowfield. It was out across the pasture, and there was snow on the ground. And 8-10 inches of it. And I get in the middle of the field, and the tracks just disappeared. Yeah.
And that's been reported for years.
7,500 feet to the nearest tree in any direction, and the tracks just stop. Yeah. Where'd they go?
Yeah.
How to do it?
Yeah. I don't know, just kind of off subject here. You probably saw me looking off to the side and mute my mic. It's just my daughter was up north, and she brought me home this.
Oh, cool.
It's it's just a notepad I'm going to use for work, but just thought I'd share that. You know, I mean, the whole family's into it, so you know. So,
what are you drinking there, Christy?
Coca-Cola.
After the baby
a little bitty
bottle.
Little bitty.
Yeah.
I'm trying to relax, so I gotta, you know.
Whose is that?
Oh, you got look at there. I recognize that book.
You do?
The new one's almost done.
Oh, it is?
The new one's almost done.
You'll have to send Christy a autographed copy.
I did. He did. I got the first. I got the first edition.
We'll have to keep the autographs going then.
Did you like Ian Angus Alistair McRae? The Isle of Skye in Bonnie, Scotland.
I'm not finished it yet. I'm like, there's about.
Oh, have you met Angus yet? If you haven't met Angus yet, you've got a treat coming yet.
Yeah, I haven't. I lost my bookmarker.
You did?
I used to have a friend named Angus from Scotland. That's funny you say that.
Yeah, this is. I chose the name McBray because Bray in Gaelic means hill, so he's the son of the hills. Okay, and my Scottish friend that I talk to almost daily thought that was a particularly good name since there isn't a clan McBray, but it has meaning. Okay. You cannot do the Scottish brogue, eh? You know what I mean? I'm not very good at it.
I have a very curious question.
Uh-huh.
Out of all of the experiences and all of the interactions that you've had, what is one that is probably your most favorable or memorable?
September 25th, 2010, the day I met my teacher.
Well,
Without a doubt.
I mean, he knows the dang dates.
Only on a few
that's significant to remember the date of something.
It's a life-changing experience.
Exactly. That's something that.
That's the first time I have ever had mind speak. when you hear a whistle that you know, it's that I had heard for 30 years and thought it was some kind of a bird that I hadn't classified before. In June of 2010, I'm at the Oregon Bigfoot, Oregon Sasquatch Symposium in Eugene, Toby Johnson's convention, and Ron Moorhead. First time I'd heard his audio, and track 7 starts with, that's what that is, And what I found out subsequently is that's an identifier. He's with me. I've got my eye on it. That's all it means. Okay. So on the 25th of September, I'm in the Blue Mountains, which is east of Walla Walla, Washington, in the very southeastern corner of the state. And I was there. Well, the whole story's in the new book, but he came to me and said, I wanted to meet you today, but I can't come out. There's too much traffic. There were 5 vehicles that we'd seen that day since I'd been parked there. And I said, perhaps it would be better if I left and come back another day. And yes, that would be better. I just cannot do it. And as this is a shame because I'm tired. I'm here on Saturday just because that's the day I chose. I could have been here on Monday or Tuesday or whatever. It didn't make any difference. My week consists of 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. So I loaded everything back up. You have to remember how I research. I've got my folding chair, my ice chest with my fried chicken hips, boiled eggs, and Diet Pepsi in it, and my Kindle. That's it. I just sit down and wait. And I loaded everything back in my car. I had one foot in the car. My right foot was actually in the car, and I was just starting to lower myself under the steering wheel, and I heard, and of course my eyes just like rivets popped right to it. And right across the road from me, 12 feet away, 9 foot 3 inches tall, he's standing there. And he says, I wanted you to see me before you left. I didn't want you to leave disappointed. Yes, that's my number one most significant time, because since then I've visited with him 100 times. He's done things for me that are unreal.
They will.
This is something I don't usually talk about in public, but I've had treatments on my heart, and it's not in McBulley, but it's the one prior, Sasquatch from Myth to Mystery. I talk about some of the healing things that I've gone through there. They have healed my diabetes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Talk around and see how many people have been healed of diabetes. There's one. Okay. I have been on high blood pressure meds for over 20 years. And this past week, we had to stop them all because we couldn't keep my blood pressure high enough because I don't have high blood pressure anymore.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Once you get plugged into the resonance of them, it raises everything up internally.
Mm-hmm. Vibrationally,
your body starts to heal itself.
Cannot support both. Cannot support illness and a high vibration. They don't go in the same box. So when we raise our frequency, it pushes out everything that's a negative, air quote, in our energy field. But even those things are there to teach us something, so nothing's wasted, nothing's in vain. But when you get to the place where you're ready to move forward, the body is just an amazing and miraculous thing. I've seen instantaneous healings on things like lymphoma, but there had to be that willingness to release it. That lesson had to be met.
Mhm.
So
And I think you definitely surpassed all that.
since I have both you, Tom, and Rachel and Ken here, I want to take a page from your book and how you did your stuff, Tom. And you would just take a chair and just sit out there and
Mhm.
have lunch and read your book and stuff like that. Now, I want to take a chair out there, but I'm afraid that I might come back and the chair's going to be destroyed. So, Rachel is very familiar with the group that I'm dealing with. And I'm just wondering, if I take a chair out there, will it stay intact?
Ask
I'm
him
not
to leave
really-
it back.
Yeah, just ask him.
Just
Yeah.
ask him. Just don't touch the chair. Get the
Mhm.
mom,
Just
get the daddy
No,
finger out. Don't touch the chair.
It's more of
Can I leave this
can I
here?
leave this here?
Can you guard this for me?
That's a great
There
line.
you go.
Is this okay in your space? There's several questions that you can ask.
I want to leave it in Mercy's area because it's nice and cool underneath that canopy, considering
Mhm.
Fletch's
There-
area. Fletch's
there
area
more.
sitting at the Foxtail Field is
I-
just miserable.
How would
But-
you address it if you were addressing a group of 13-year-olds?
Here's an
Because that's
apple.
basically
Don't touch this. This is mine. Leave it alone. If it were
That won't-
13-year-olds,
that
that's how I
won't-
would
that
address
won't work.
it.
I won't work with a
But
13-year-old.
that's not going to work with them.
You just threw a challenge right in front of his face.
I was gonna say,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. That's why I'm asking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
I'm
so
gonna
you-
I'm gonna leave this chair over here. I'll bring you back some apples if you watch it for me.
Yeah.
that-
Ken's got the
no,
right idea. Challenge him.
Yeah, we just
Sure.
talked to him like people. I mean,
right.
you know, how would they say treat people the way you want to be treated? That's not true. Actually, treat people the way they want to be treated.
Right.
You'll get a lot
Show
further.
respect. Show respect in everything. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
But most of
Um,
our experiences, we've actually only been actively in this about a year, just to let you know.
We're still
Not quite.
still babies with it. So
But
where are you?
Arkansas,
In Arkansas. Okay.
nowhere near Folk or Falk.
No.
I guess most people
Uh-huh.
say Falk.
Whatever. Yeah.
From all over, so we still have to get the pronunciations right on a few things.
That's
You know,
uh-huh.
most of our experience with these
I-
people has been energetic. We've had some visual, a lot of audio, but most of
Mhm.
it, they almost immediately took us into the whole quantum realm with them. And it was just really surprising. The mind speak came actually pretty easy.
Yeah, and the first time that it happened, it lightens you right up.
mhm.
Oh,
But then
yeah. No.
it's more like, hey, did I really just hear that? You know, is that what really happened? You know, you sit there wondering, was that loud or wait, that wasn't verbal, you know?
And
And it's weird.
and I consider him teacher. The short of his name is Anku, but he
Mhm.
is incredible. But he was the one that started, I believe, with the mind speak. There was little, before I really was picking up on it. When I look back, I think there was more that I kind of just, I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the confidence at first.
Well,
But then,
I'm almost of the opinion that only the teachers are able to do the mind speak.
these guys are actually really, really, I think part of it is that I'm a natural channel and it makes it easy. But the
That
one
could
that
be
I
too.
commit myself to is the teacher.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, wonderful idea.
The younger one out there tries for all that he's worth to talk and interact, but we get the normal grunts and whistles, and when he gets
Uh-huh.
frustrated, he'll do some ornery stunt. But
And there's almost always the energy of the older ones. So he's respectful in that.
Mhm.
If they're not too close, then he'll make himself really well known, you know. But there's a real protocol.
Like kids anywhere, you know. Who gets in more trouble in any species than adolescent males?
Oh, yeah.
That would be
I'll vouch for that.
Yeah.
Thom is just incredible, and he has been so concerned for not just us, but he takes it to a totally different. I mean, he really is worried about mankind. He is really worried about the state of this world. He is worried about our safety, not just their safety. And he always makes it inclusive. When I say the we mind, the one mind, he is definitely of that one mind and understanding we are all out of the same source. We are of that same origin.
You've got the core of understanding that you need to go forward, because that is so important to understand that point. When people talk about, you know, there's rogues or there's this or that, that's BS. They are all of one mind, just like you said. Okay, they all have the same thoughts. One of the first conversations that Akanisha and I had after that initial meeting, he called me back to the mountains a month later, 3 weeks later. And he says, I know that you're learning new things and you're having trouble assimilating the new things you're learning with your priesthood. I want you to know, we have the same creator.
Absolutely.
We do the same work. Okay. And I said, what about us worries you the worst? He says, your lack of respect.
Absolutely.
I don't understand humans at all. He says, you have no respect for where you live. You have no respect for one another. And worst of all, you have no respect for yourselves.
That was what I was just getting was, you know, the lack of respect for ourselves is 10 times worse to them than almost any other action by way of respect. Short of their space, they're almost tied. But as far as we as a people and our ability to grow in that, they have so much, you know, they have more faith in us than we have in ourselves.
They do, but only in certain of us. That's why they'll only speak to you, Christy, not to you, Ken and Rachel, and to you, because they don't trust the rest of the world.
No trust.
Okay? I asked him, I said, what's the most dangerous thing that's happening in the world? He says, what people are doing to the oceans. Is you have to remember, for the first time in the history of mankind, you have the ability to destroy the world without firing a shot. You don't need your weapons.
That's right.
He says, you know, they sit there, he says, and you will hear all of this noise, okay, about cutting trees is going to destroy the oxygen. Stop and think about that. Are they paving the ground where they cut those trees? If not, grass, brush, whatever grows right back. And that stuff photosynthesizes in exactly the same way the tree did. You have no net loss of oxygen by cutting a tree if you don't pave the ground. Okay, number one. Number two, only 20% of our oxygen supply comes from land. 80% comes out of the ocean.
Between the algae and the plankton.
That's right, exactly. Everything that blooms there creates oxygen, and that, you want to screw the world up. Kill the major predators. The sharks that are being harvested for their fins only. The great tunas that they don't even know today if they stop fishing them entirely if they could survive. They've been fished so badly, and yet they still have freaking shows on TV promoting tuna fishing.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And they
that,
don't even realize that what they're doing.
Well,
You know, it's all in the name of money.
I feel like
Every-
we are of the water. I mean, our bodies are what, over 70% water? So
mhm.
I
But water has its own cycle.
connectivity to that than what we give credit for. We may walk the earth, but without that water, we're useless too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that water to transfer the electrical currents and stuff through our bodies to make our muscles move, to make our brain think, to make our eyes see, to make our tongue talk. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Water.
If you want to screw up your whole system, screw up your water system.
Right.
You know, but when you remove those top predators, that allows the lesser species to bloom, to flourish, to run out of control. When that does, they destroy their habitat. When you destroy that marine habitat, that's then you're talking red tides. You're talking a million different things that will stop the generation of oxygen, and then the world is dead.
Not only for the ocean, but also for the land.
Everything.
There's a balance.
Because 80% of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a balance that the animals take care of themselves. We need the predators to keep down the other stuff, and the other stuff go into breeding, keep feeding the predators. It's a balance, and right now, that whole balance is completely cattywampus.
It's skewed.
It's causing the Earth axis to tilt more, which is making everything worse. You know what I mean? The polar ice caps are melting, and if the polar ice caps melt, then most of the land that we have is going to end up as waterfront property. You know what I mean?
That's temporary. Okay.
That's
where I sit today, 12,000 years ago, I would have been under a 2-mile thick sheet of ice.
Right.
Okay. That's gone now.
Right.
So has the Earth warmed up? Obviously it has, because that glacier is not here anymore.
Right.
Okay. The difference is it's a natural cycle, and the cycle is not controlled like they're trying to make us believe by carbon. It's controlled by sunspot activity, and we don't have any control over that. But it goes in cycles. Okay. This is the 5th time that they can prove that this has happened, that the ice has melted back to all the way to the polar regions, and then comes back again. It's happened 5 times. Okay. I'm not worried about that. There were no SUVs 12,000 years ago. There were no coal-fired power plants 12,000 years ago. But the main thing is there were none of. There were no politicians with their own agendas 12,000 years either. Okay.
Yeah, you put them all together and
Oh man, I love you for that comment.
That's all the politics I can talk, because my teacher said do not mention politics. Is that young people to do that?
That one sentence was
It is what it is. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
it's pretty much a duck.
That's
right.
That's right. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
There you go. You know, you heard it here first.
Somebody brought up an interesting point with on my channel, and had mentioned that the Earth normally resonates at a I don't want to misquote it. I want to say 7.38 hertz, and that normally man does also. But they are proving that the Earth has raised the frequency that it's operating off of. And I feel that the chaos that we're meeting is like a layer between us and the Earth. And part of what Anku has been trying to show us is what resides in that chaos and what would try to sabotage us from raising to match the Earth. But I thought it was really, really interesting. You know, I don't know if that's also cyclical. I'm sure that she's gone through it before.
But no, really, it's pretty simple. If the operating specifics are right here at this level and you're operating at an off level down here, it's going to create chaos, going to create chatter.
Until it can balance.
It's going to create an imbalance, correct? Yeah.
But I just thought that was kind of fascinating. It wasn't something I'd thought about specifically prior to that.
I don't think a lot of people think of it that way. You know what I mean? The general population just thinks about them and what's in front of them at that moment. They don't look at the big picture of the way they're thinking and what they're doing to the planet as a whole. You know what I mean? There's a small handful of us that do get it, you know, but
this COVID outbreak has really brought that to light. The selfishness of the population in general. You know, it's all made up. I'll tell you how made up it is. Up until 6 weeks ago, last Friday, I lived in a nursing home right next door to where I live now. Okay. There were, on the 26th of March, there were 59 people that lived in this nursing home when they tested all of us for COVID. 56 of the 59 tested positive. Over the next 4 weeks, 28 of that 56 died.
there you go, people.
You want to tell me it's not real?
Thom is one of the fortunate ones that tested negative.
No, I had tested positive. I went through it.
Oh,
I lived through it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Obviously,
and I don't want to do that again. I guarantee you.
No.
But you know, but these people, it's my right not to wear a mask. Well, yeah, it is. But you also have a social responsibility. Yes, we're losing personal rights like mad, and it's infuriating. But when you live in a society, there are societal norms that have to be met as well. You have the right to swing your arm to your heart's content until it approaches my nose. Then that right stops. Okay? You've got to live in the society that you're part of. And there are sometimes things that have to be ameliorated, changed, in order to meet those societal needs.
I think
and
one of
Go ahead, Ken.
Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest angst that people that have any kind of knowledge of, you know, the bacterias and the viruses and all of that realize that a piece of paper is minimal protection. So it is at the point of almost being nothing at all. It's just like a sugar pill to make everybody feel like they're doing something to protect themselves, when realistically it doesn't. You're going to get it if you're going to get it. If you're susceptible to it, it's going to happen.
There are so many other things that, it helps in the situation it's designed for. But there are so many other things that we face every day. How did it? I mean, where I live now, it's right next door to where I was. They haven't had a case of it here. Okay. 28 people died next door. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
No,
and you know what? I think I may have had it literally 6 weeks before it even came out on the news, because I never get sick. I mean, I might have a sniffle or something like that, a real mild cold, but I'm telling you, what I had wiped me out for a week. I mean, it was absolutely horrible, and it was 6 weeks before they even brought it out. to the general public that there's a virus
We're
going on.
not saying
We're
that,
not saying that it's not a real thing or not a real threat or
that
menace.
we shouldn't mask or
but
any of that.
It's like throwing a thimble of water onto one of the California forest fires.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was trying to get to.
And also not saying that the politicians aren't taking advantage of everything they can in the name of it too. This is the gospel according to Thom. Okay. But I really expect to see martial law in this country by the time election day comes around.
Well, how about some
Let's talk happy
thoughts for just a minute?
Yes. Yes. Let's get off of politics.
Yeah. Have you ever had them leave you any gifts?
Always. Rocks. They love to leave me rocks. They know I love rocks. I can't tell you how many times I've gone. I'm just wondering if I think I moved them all over to the other table. Now, I get back to my tent, open the flap, go in, and there lying on my bunk would be a rock that they'd left.
I love crystal quartz is one of my favorite mountains, and they're always
Oh, geez, yeah.
It's got a beautiful point on it, but it's hard to.
That's the last one the juvenile left for us.
Where's the?
I'm gonna go get my stuff. Wait, hold on.
Rocks have changed. It's funny because they were bringing us the what I call orange quartz. It's the quartz that has more of the ore in it, and then it's what were those blue? Not slate, but
schist
stone. And then now they're bringing this type of quartz.
Yeah, off and on through the year, we would find little pieces of vine that were twisted or tied into a knot and stuff like that. And that's one of the bigger ones there, that we would find out where we would leave the apples and things like that. But 2 weeks ago, we had something absolutely just blow your mind that was left out there.
Speaking of rocks, they haven't left me anything other than some intestines wrapped around some branches from some unknown animal. I don't even know if it was left for me or what, but I appreciated it, and it was right through my trail that I walk in. But I found this beautiful blue quartz rocks, and I've been finding like you were talking about the Ice Age, fossilized seashells,
Oh, super.
and I've got a whole shelf of them up there, and I just seem to be finding them everywhere. So I'm assuming that it was a Ice Age glacial deposit. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm 5 miles from the ocean, but I'm probably 1,000 feet up and off from the seafloor. And it's just most of the people who frequent that area don't even realize it, that they're walking over these things. And I was actually digging up this one, actually. And a lady walks by and she's all, "Is that a snake?" And I'm going, "No, it's a fossilized seashell." She's all, "Huh? What?" And then I'm all, "Yeah, check it out." So this is, of course, she's wearing a mask. So I backed off, give her some room. She's all, "Oh my God, this is so cool. I had no idea." And it's like, I know you didn't have an idea because most people don't. They're not looking.
No.
You'd be amazed what you find if you just look at your surroundings,
Yep.
This is one of the rocks that he left me.
I love that one. I love that. Yeah, hammerstone.
Right. I was going to say it looks like a tool.
Yeah.
It is. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
thought it was a pickle at first. So like,
hard to slice, though.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to slice. But watch this.
How funny.
He did me a corn husk.
I got to tell you a story. I had a friend come pick me up, take me for a ride here a couple of weeks ago, and as we were coming back, stopped by our place to show me what had happened there. And here's this little area that she has. She likes to go sit under the trees and meditate, just contemplate, maybe read. And they had been trying to get her attention. And she told me what was going on. And I said, they're trying to get your attention. Talk to them, listen to them, pay attention to them. And so finally she said, well, if it's really you and you really want my attention, leave me a sign. So they left her a rock, beautiful rock, sitting right on her chair. Okay. That's wonderful. That's great. And then a couple of weeks later, well, did that really come from them, or did it? So, can you do that again? So this time, that weaving, they did a double hoop, triple hoop job. I've got a picture of it. I don't have it up where I can do anything with it. But a triple hoop woven and left hanging on a little dead tree right by her chair. And she told me about that. I said, now, are you going to accept that it's them doing this? And who else are you going to ask for now?
I'll tell you a little
actually had weavings given to them very recently. Yeah. And they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'll tell you the backstory to it. A lady had sent plastic dolls, a figurine that looked like me and one that looked like Rachel, and a little plastic Sasquatch figurine, a doll. And we took them out to the woods and we left them out there as a gift just to see what the reaction would be. And 4 days later, when we went back out, there were 2 items left for us in the place of the plastic dolls that were gone. Oh. Here's the first one.
So this one is just a ball of vine.
That's cool.
Rolled up into a ball.
Yeah, I think, Ken, I think that might represent the balls that you have left them.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if Junior did this, but he loves, but he especially loves spheres. Anything spherical.
And the other one will absolutely blow your mind. I showed you the little woven knot.
That's cool. You may have to back up.
It's a little.
That's a person, huh?
I can see it. Yeah.
It has feet.
Yeah, it has feet on it. Big feet on it.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
But that's the only one, thus far, and that was in exchange for dolls. So
that's cool.
And so far,
is cool.
So far, we've only found one of the plastic dolls, and it was the one that looked like me, and it was stripped naked and laid out there upside down.
I was laughing when I was like,
I am totally lost somewhere with the Sasquatch doll.
She ran off the Sasquatch, so.
The Ken doll doesn't know whether it's coming or going anymore because he's twisted around at the hip, and they couldn't untwist it. It must have taken serious force.
Christy, what's that skull that you've got there?
He left me that. That's a deer skull.
It's a spike. Deer?
Yeah.
A spike deer.
Yeah.
Spike deer. And then he left me, I think that's a coyote skull, maybe?
It looks like, no, that's teeth don't look coyote.
No, those are too big to be coyote.
Yeah. That looks more like bear.
But we'll find weird little things left out there, like that's a little porcelain hand off of a doll, and I don't know where it came from. But, they find crazy stuff.
Yeah, look, this one found a ring. It's old and rusted. It must be from it
looks like a horse tack or something from an old cart.
Yeah.
A horse and buggy is what it looks like it might go to.
Ain't that? It's weird how they do that. They
Century.
When Ken and Rachel posted their video about finding the Ken doll.
Yeah, I was kind of. Yeah.
Rachel did such a good job on that.
I am such a terrible.
I started to freak out, and
Me too.
after I realized that she was joking and talking about the doll, I actually had to text them and be like, "Oh my God, you guys just made my heart stop," because we had just had a live stream the night before, and I thought maybe something had happened to Ken. Because of the way they titled it and the way
I had to really focus to pull that off because I am not an actress, and I had to really think about it being him, and then he was upset because I wasn't more upset than I was.
I had to talk ugly to her for a few minutes just to get her in the right frame of mind.
It was terrible.
No.
It worked because my heart stopped, and I was like,
what?
"Oh my God, what happened?" I mean, we had a live stream. Like, what the heck?
When we found that, it just felt like the whole idea was planted, and I think they've got pretty sick humor, but I think it was more to get everybody to laugh.
Yeah,
I think that was their goal.
Got out there and the doll was laying upside down with its butt sticking out in the air. And I thought, man, here's a perfect opportunity. We got to use this.
And we thought for a minute and honestly never really talked about it. He just said, how would you feel if that was me? And I had to stop and kind of get my bearings because the whole time I'm looking at the doll.
Laughing.
And I'm laughing because just the visual was too much. So he elbowed me a couple of times and said, try to feel bad about it being me.
Say, look, you're 12 years old riding down the street and your puppy dog just got ran over.
Oh, that's terrible.
Get in the mood.
The whole beginning of the video was like a eulogy for Ken, and the title was like eulogy for Ken. And I was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden they panned down and you see the doll, and I just started cracking up. I just started laughing. And I texted him, oh my God, really? You had to do that? It was just like, I was so freaked out for a second.
We got a lot of haters off of that video.
Yeah. No, a lot of them laughed with us. But there were a few that just went,
I just don't have time for those people. Here they've been feeding us because of COVID. They feed our meals they bring to our apartments, and they bring plastic utensils with them. And these plastic utensils have been black the whole time I've been there until this last week, and they showed up like this. And I sent a note to the kitchen. I said, "Don't you realize black knives matter?"
Oh man!
We all need to laugh more, and I think that was all planted. Just knowing the way we are, I think they planted it that way. Just
they have tremendous sense of humor.
They're sick. They are sick.
Yeah.
Who in their right mind would put intestines from some unknown animal wrapped around a tree limb 3 times, stretched down, wrapped around another tree limb underneath it 3 times, and brought back up and wrapped around 3 times?
You got to work with what you have, right?
I was right.
I said thank you, but it's not something I would like to take home to my wife. I appreciate. And I went out the next weekend; it was gone. It was absolutely gone. There was no remnant. It was unwrapped and it was removed.
It may have been the most precious thing it had to give you at that time.
Exactly.
I know. And you know what? I said thank you very much. I appreciate it very much, but unfortunately, it's not something that I could take home with me. You're welcome to keep it.
So you turned around and took home a bag that they urinated on?
Yeah, not to mention they peed in it, but it stunk to high heaven. Let me tell you, it's actually, I don't know. I can't show you right now, but it's actually hanging up over there somewhere, along with the other 3 bags that I picked up yesterday that were ripped open the same way.
This one has no fear of picking up or touching anything. We're out there and, oh, look at that skull, and grab it up and flip it around and just.
Doesn't faze me.
I'm the same way. It doesn't faze me. I mean, it
might have been, but I think most of the germs I've exposed myself to have given me a great immune system.
Right. That's the way I look at it. Let me expose myself to it because it's just going to make my immune system better. So
pick up something and look at me and go, "Is that a baby Ruth bar?"
Oh no!
Oh no! Is that a Snickers?
A couple of years ago, one of the gals in our group found a pile of epic. That's about the size of my arm, and about, it was coiled around and around. It was very obvious what it was. So she collected it and had it in a box in her freezer. Her husband bought her a freezer just for it. He understood the importance of having it, but he didn't want it in with his food.
Understand.
And, that's a good husband to have. That's all right. In 2014, we were camped in Northern California at a place called Elk Meadows. It's on Blue Creek, which is the next ridge over from Bluff Creek, where Bob and Roger did their film. Matter of fact, getting there, you had to drive right by the headwaters of Bluff Creek and then into the next drainage. And we had everybody there was gifted something. Probably the neatest one, though, was Debbie from Australia. She'd come up there for that gathering, and she was talking about. She landed in L.A., rode up with some friends, and every time they would stop, she'd go into find a secondhand store and look for these little Matchbox type cars, little toy cars, because her husband collected them, and she was looking for one to bring home to him from America. America. Yeah. And so we're sitting there talking about that. Next morning, we get up and we're sitting around the fire. She's been out wandering around, came in with this bouquet of wildflowers that she had picked. And there's a log that crosses the creek. There are 2 of them together, actually. And she was going to lay them on this log. He walks over and says, "Oh, my God," and looked over. Here is a 1955 Thunderbird little toy car sitting on that log. It's so old, the paint's all beat up on it. You can go on the website and find a picture of it. The tires are gone, of course. Wheels and tires are all gone. But here's this thing sitting there for her.
I guess the show.
Awesome.
They know what we're thinking. You know what I mean? It was something very important to her to give to her husband.
Yeah,
and they picked up on that and said, this is what she's looking for. I'm going to give this to her.
Yeah. Well, where do they keep that stuff? I mean, we're 35 miles off the road.
Somewhere.
Right. They have their own secret stash of things they collect.
Yes.
Ken knows that firsthand. He found Junior's little stash spot. And they found all kinds of stuff back there. A shoe he likes to chew on, and the blue ball that you put the GPS in. And
marble, big center, the big gaming marble.
Right.
A spam.
What was it? A spam can?
A spam can, a piece of cable wire like you would wrap
aircraft cable.
Right.
And it's just shredded.
Guide wire.
Where he's just sat there and played with it, I guess. I don't.
Picking his teeth with the end of it or something. I don't know. Picking the rubber shoe out of his teeth or something.
The young one has started an empty drink bottle collection over the past month or so. We'll go out and we'll find where he's drug up 6 or 10 empty plastic bottles
And they are old.
where
I mean,
he's
they're,
crinkled them all up, just I guess to the noise or something, the sound of it.
but they'll be squish flat.
They're wanting you to get rid of them for them.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
we've been picking them up, and they've been putting them in a place that's easy for us to get them. It's not a problem. But
You know,
it's so wild, the things they come up there with.
what Thom just said is they want you to get rid of them. I'm wondering if they might, because you said they're old. I wonder if they might be finding them on the side of the road.
That or
That's
back
just in
possible.
there-
We even thought that
Just
maybe
in their
they-
terrain, just in
See,
the,
farther
Yeah,
back there
in their biome.
is a great big creek, and a lot of times it'll flood and it'll
it's way
get
back.
trash, and they might be finding them back there and dragging them up to get rid of them. I don't know.
That's a possibility too. And you remember, I told you guys to take a trash can out there, show them how to use that
I have
trash
a
can.
bucket sitting next to, in the front part next to one of
Yeah.
the, and they've been good to leave the trash in there. And what's funny is they will bring trash up and put it right there. They haven't put it in the bucket,
But next to it.
put it
You'll
right
find it
there
within
for us
15
to find.
Find it within 15 feet of the bucket.
Yeah,
They're
keep working
trying.
on that.
Yeah, they're
keep
trying.
working on that. That's a wonderful thought. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's just
you
something that crossed us, and we thought we'd just see if they picked up on what we were doing with the trash.
Oh,
you know,
Well, when you pick up the trash, are you putting it in that bucket so they see you put it in that bucket?
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, like
If
the big guy in my area is the big guy in my area is pretty dense. I mean, him. We'll refer to him. I walked over there and I hung up his own bag of goodies. Still there yesterday. Didn't get it.
It was more fun to go take some of hers, wasn't it?
I don't know. It might be because I mean all those bags are ripped up. Even the green apples were gone. The ones that they don't like, the green apples were gone. One of the bags that I had blueberries in, the end of it was opened and chewed on like they were trying to get the juice out of it. I don't know. It might be the big guy. It might be the big guy just
Well,
being the dumb jock. You know what I mean?
My experience, them, the food will be taken and the bag will be left intact.
mhm,
And if it's something else, then the bag will be chewed or ripped or
right.
whatever.
Going back to what we were talking about just a minute ago, what you're thinking or what you're kind of dwelling on when you walk out there, they pick up on that in a second and they
Mhm.
act or react accordingly. It's like if you've got a particular thing or agenda on your mind, they know what it is without you ever saying it.
Absolutely.
Well, you probably can't see it too well, but inside this big bag is the bag that was ripped open and full of urine.
Mhm.
So I've got that in a big bag so I don't have to smell it because it was absolutely rancid smelling.
Mhm.
But yesterday I picked up this. This has been pinched on one end and the other
Mhm.
is more open like this. Another one just like it, open the same way, pinched and ripped open. And that urine bag is ripped and pinched and ripped open the same way. This one apparently they liked a lot because they just went for the gusto on that one and just tore it up. But
I'm gonna recommend something here. You don't have to do it naturally, but it's something that I do and something that I highly tout, and that is create a forensics kit, just a penny pack that you can carry with you. It has plastic gloves in it. It has plastic bags. I use prescription bottles and clean them with fresh water and put those in there for specimen gathering. I have a half a dozen little flag pins so you can mark your site. And I have tape, like police tape, to keep out, because we had a terrible tragedy happen 2 years ago when we found the butt casts, and we're working with those. And of course, people were so excited of what we'd found. We didn't have that tape to secure the area, and there was a handprint there that was actually down in the ground. This stupid camera being backwards on here gets me, because I go the wrong way all the time. But the handprint was into the ground with the fingers like that. Of course, the fingers were about 3 times the size of mine. And before we could get that cast, somebody stepped on it. So we have the photograph of it, but we don't have a cast of it. Where we do have casts of the butt, both of them, 2 of the 3 actually. Third, we ran out of material and couldn't cast the third one.
Well,
But
it's a big butt.
it was 22 inches across. It's a young
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
Not that big, Christy.
That's
Outside of mind speak, I'm talking about actual vocal sounds. We've heard them make words or partial words several times.
Is that entirely mimicking, or are they actually practicing?
I've heard them mimic this, so I know they do that. But they also, in addition to their own language, like you'll hear on the Moorhead Berry tapes, they also have another language they use. 2015, we're at Blue Mountain Rendezvous, and I was called in conference. I had a glyph left for me, and I knew what it said. And that afternoon, just right at the edge of camp, I was called into conference. I walked down there, and here's 5 Sasquatch up on the ridge, and full view of camp. So everybody got to watch what was going on here. And they were talking to me. These 5 Sasquatch were talking to me in this language. And the neat thing was, I didn't know the language, but I could converse in it. And I understood it when they said it. Okay. When it was all done and I was released, believe me, I don't leave before I'm released. I walked back to camp, 30, 40 feet, and somebody asked me a question about what they wanted. And I answered him in that same language because it was still in my mind. Yeah. So they have several different languages they can use. Plus, mind speak is usually in your own language.
Right. Yeah. All of the mind speak is in, English that we understand.
And with your own context.
We've heard words that were.
They were another
They
language.
were either part English or part another foreign language, sometimes part Native American, sometimes part gibberish.
But by tone, you can understand what they're saying. Just, I don't know, maybe it's because of the mind speak, but it's like there's this.
You can hear the melody
bridge.
of it.
You can get a gist of what they're saying. Yeah. Right. You have to be careful of context because you don't know the context.
Right.
And, and people, what do you mean by context? Well, take the word BOW. What's it mean? It can be a ribbon in the hair. It can be a bend at the waist. It can be the front end of a boat, depending on the context. So you have to be this careful with that too. And I tell the people this, especially as pertains to glyphs. If it's for you, you'll know what it is immediately. If it's not for you, you have no idea what it means because you don't know the context in which it's left.
Right.
Okay. Vocal language is a little bit different. You can get more information, more intelligence off of it, just by listening to it, because you can get inflections and ideas from that. You listen to the Moorhead Berry tapes, and you don't know what they're saying, but you can tell what they're talking about.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can tell by the tone of what's going on.
Right.
And Dude
Right.
had explained it like words. Each word that we use has its own resonance, and he had explained it to me because my question, I think, was, how is it that you understand and speak so many languages? He said, we don't. Exactly.
Comes right out of your mind.
Right. He
Mhm.
said, but words have a resonance. And he said, I can speak my word, and by the time it reaches you, it's your word. But it's the resonance of the word that you're getting.
Right.
He's very interesting.
It's
Yeah.
very technical.
Very technical. It's important to him that he relay it correctly, and he will go over it 3 times if he has to make sure that he has said it in a way that we can conceptually get it.
3 times seems to be a minimum. maybe it's just me they're dealing with. And
If you don't get it on the 3rd try, you're out of luck.
And I find
that's it.
his energy is very much, okay, this is what I said, now tell me what you heard.
Mhm.
So I'm always trying to confirm it with him until I get that sound, you got it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's so important because, you know, just take 5 people witnessing an act and get their opinion on what happened.
You got 5 different stories.
Right.
You'll have 5 different stories because we
5
all
different
have different
stories.
backgrounds.
Right.
We all come from a different place. And so we're gonna understand it differently. That same trip to Northern California in 2014 had a lady from England had come over for that. And we were going back into camp, came around a curve in the road, and there's 2 Sasquatch standing right directly in front of the car, right in the middle of the road. And she just yelled out, Sasquatch, Bigfoot!
Can I stick your hand, please?
Yeah, my ears were vibrating. And that was at milepost 14. By the time we got back to camp 20 miles later, she had allowed her mind to convince herself that she had not seen 2 Sasquatch standing in the road. She had seen 2 Mexican drug mules wearing long-haired ghillie suits and flip-flops.
Wow.
Because her mind, it was. I'm driving, listening to this going on.
What was
And,
she? What was she drinking the rest of the way back?
That's the thing. She wasn't drinking anything, but that was her mind wouldn't let her accept Bigfoot.
Right.
It had to retreat to something it knew.
Exactly.
There's drug growers in this country.
I think that's a protective
Had to be
measure.
one of those.
It always goes back to something familiar that it can associate with.
Exactly. And, you know, a big hairy man. Oh, no. They were just wearing ghillie suits, you know. And when they turned and left, the bottoms of their feet were very visible, and you could see the Osman pads on them. That's where the flip-flop idea came from.
Right.
Stood out in her mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it took, probably 2 or 3 days. And finally, Arla Williams, who was there from Oklahoma, she says, Jackie, you've traveled 6,000 miles to see what you saw. And now your mind's not allowing you to do it. And that got her to thinking. Now, Jackie has training in psychology. She's a psychologist. So she was able to rationalize this and understand it. And by the time I dropped her at the airport in Portland on her way home, she fully understood what had happened and realized what her mind had done to her. But in the meantime, she had gone through this full spectrum. I mean, 20 miles driving, she had gone from 2 Sasquatch that were totally visible. I mean, 20 feet in front of the car. You know, how you going to mistake that, you know? And to 2 Mexican drug mules and long-haired ghillie suits with flip-flops on, and backpacks.
You know what would be really interesting as an experiment to try, if someone was willing to do that, if they had that visual experience and were in that state of denial about it, if you could put them under hypnosis and then audio record so they can hear themselves telling what they saw under hypnosis.
That would
What
be,
is that?
wouldn't it?
What do they call that? Regression hypnosis?
Yeah,
Or
regression.
something? Yeah. That would
Now-
be really cool to have someone do that.
Sandy Nelson did that with her sighting, her first sighting. We found a hypnotist that was able to do that, and she learned a lot more about what she had gone through and what she'd seen.
Yeah, you're
I often wonder if we haven't seen more than we allow ourselves to
acknowledge.
recall, and even in our experiences, as comfortable as we feel we've been, I think there's a natural part of the mind that wants to protect, and shield from certain things until it's ready for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much more ready we think we can be for that type of experience.
It's not how ready you think you are. It's how
It's how
ready
ready
they think you are.
They think you are. And that goes back to that respect and trust factor.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
everything else that goes on comes into play.
Right.
Again, back to the haters and naysayers. If I don't see it with my own eyes, there is no way that I'll ever trust anybody else to tell me. No, stop a minute.
Right.
I spent 9 years in the military. The guy on my shoulder had my life in his hands. I trusted him with my life physically. Okay. The same thing is true here. I deal with people that I trust implicitly because they have fruit on the tree. Okay. I understand what they are and who they are. And if they aren't trustworthy, if they aren't people that when they say something, I know that is exactly what they saw, what they feel they saw, they aren't in my camp. Period. It just doesn't happen.
And what's funny is
you're never going to change the mind of someone that doesn't want to acknowledge it. If they aren't willing to accept it, you could slap them in the face with a dead mackerel and they would say it was a feather duster.
You know what? I got a story to go along with all that too. That comment too is when we recently went camping and Sasquatch Omega joined me out camping. My daughter's half brother and his family was out there, and Dave Sasquatch Omega was showing some videos on his iPad, to the kids and stuff, about his adventures with Bigfoot, and they had very clear tree knocks and whoops and all kinds of vocalizations and stuff like that. And my daughter's half brother said, I don't know if I believe in any of that because he does spend a lot of time out in the woods hiking and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anything and I've never experienced anything like that. And I showed him a picture of the big guy that I have, and it's very clear. What it is. And Dave proceeded to show him pictures, very clear pictures. And he's like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see what you're talking about. And it's like Dave started to kind of get aggravated that he doesn't see it. And I just looked at Dave and I said, you know what? Until he has his own experience with his own eyes, he's not going to see it. Simple
exactly
as that.
Right.
And Dave looked at me now, you're being really calm about this. And I'm going, it is what it is. I come across this all the time. People either see it or they don't. And the ones that don't aren't going to see it until they have their own experience.
Not see them. Yeah. At first we couldn't see them, but then something shifted and we were able to start seeing them even at a distance.
I try to explain it to people like going out and picking mushrooms. It takes forever to find the first one, but once your eye gets tuned to it,
they're everywhere.
You're all over
it.
Yep.
Now it's like our eyes just can't not see them. And
Right.
beyond pareidolia,
Yeah.
I have a little of that too on occasion, but there's a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Different.
It's,
Head pop up over a bush that wasn't there a second ago, and then go back down. And ain't
This
pareidolia, you know?
this book that I'm writing now is about face-to-face encounters from stories I've taken across North America, and some of them are absolutely wonderful and beyond the realm of even thinking that they're made up. I mean, it's just, but people will hate. That's the nature of things. To he who understands, no evidence is needed. To he who does not understand, no evidence will suffice.
That's right.
And we just do it
And,
because we love it and love them. And if a few want to share with us, it's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. We aren't judging anybody. And
that's it. That's it.
Like most of the people at the beginning, we were trying to show things that we found that we thought would prove that there was a foot here or this over there or whatever, And after a short while, I could care less if anybody believes me or not. I've got enough evidence for me. I've seen them.
You can't prove anything to anyone. All you can do is offer. It's up to the individual to decide how much evidence constitutes proof in their own mind. It's that simple.
Incredible people.
And so you do it, and this is something I preach religiously. You do it for yourself and for them, for nobody else. Period.
Right.
I think we started the channel. Ultimately, part of it was documentation for ourselves because it was just so
like having a
head on that it was so much to keep track of.
Like having a video diary, kind of. And then it just went from there.
So you look like you want to say something. You keep.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Rachel. Finish your.
Oh no, and then we just. I think the more incredible they became, and the more we started really understanding their personalities and the type of people they were, the more we wanted people to experience it. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it was so unbelievable. And the warmth, and I know not all of the encounters have been positive for people. I'm not naive. We've been blessed. But I do feel that the majority of them, if approached correctly, would actually like to have this kind of communion with us.
Yeah.
My personal opinion only.
And you've made an excellent point there. Not all encounters are positive, but it isn't their fault. It's the fault of the individual in the encounter. Okay. Again, going back to what I'm writing about now, I've got these people that were absolutely terrified. And I read it. Why were you terrified? So you had an individual standing 50 feet away from you looking at you, and you're terrified. Why are you even there if that terrifies you?
Exactly.
And these guys, they tried to explain to me at one point, it's been months ago now, but I was questioning for the relationship that I felt like we'd established. I wasn't understanding why the limit between us physically, but they were trying to explain that they were all too aware of their appearance. And they wanted to make sure that we weren't just ready, we were doubly ready when we did meet them all. And I mean, I heard all, because they are our family and they don't want to risk losing us to fear. They want to make sure we are so rock solid between us that it could matter not what they look like. And I feel that way, but they obviously know. I feel they can read our energy. They can feel it,
And fear is the one emotion that they cannot work through.
That's right.
That's right.
It's what we tried to tell everybody from the beginning. You can't have fear. Your fear is going to stop it all completely. If you've got fear about any of it, all it's going to do is create more negative outcome.
And they're a great mirror to what's going on the inside. So a lot of the experiences that we have out in that environment, I gauge where we are based on our experience there. And that might sound a little bizarre to some, but it's the easiest way I know to register where we are in the process, not where they are, because they've been on board, but where we
to go along with the whole fear thing. You know, I've been working with Ken and Rachel with the ones in my group, and Rachel told me, let it go. Let the fear go and just go. And because of what she said, that has gotten me to go into areas that I wouldn't normally go into. You know what I mean? I just say, hey, I'm coming in and I'm going to go over this way. And I go, you know, and
There's only one thing out there that you need to fear, and it wears shoes.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
You've got to look at the experience for what it is and not what your mind is programmed to think it should be.
or going to.
exactly.
If I told you from the time you were 2 years old that blue marble is evil and it's poisonous and it will attack you if you see it, by the time you're 20 years old, you will be terrified of that blue marble.
But it really hasn't done anything to you yet.
Right.
And you
I'll
see
give you a perfect example of that. My father, his mother had told him when he was a youngster that if you drank milk when you ate cherries, it would cause you to bloat. Well, we grew up with that in our mind. And I was away from home. I was in the Navy before I ever thought to challenge it. But do you know how difficult it was to actually do that?
Well, the same thing. I remember being told as a kid, don't eat the apple seeds because you grow an apple tree in your stomach. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think for us,
You know?
watermelon seeds, but yeah.
What I wanted to say was how everybody has their experiences on what you encounter, from footprints to vocals to eye shine to physical. I call it different levels, different steps of what people
Right.
go through.
I agree with you on that, and I think everybody else here will agree that they're going to give you what they think you're ready for.
Ready
Exactly.
for. That's exactly right.
It's not up to you, the individual. It's up to them and what they think you're ready for.
Now,
They're
Tom,
not going to give you anything that you can't handle.
Now,
I
does
have-
that mean kids won't do things that? Oh my heavens! I could go through stories of the things that youngsters have perpetrated that would just
Well,
blow your socks off.
Yeah, that's right. Probably 80% of the encounters that send people running the other direction are because of a bunch of young
right.
8, 10, 12-year-old juveniles out there just pulling pranks.
Yeah.
Or adolescents, yeah. And yeah, exactly.
And they're
Or-
running
or-
back to their friends in the trees, laughing their butt off.
Laugh-
Did you
laughing
see
their-
this reaction? Oh my God, that was hilarious. We got to do that again. It's the same thing, you know?
Mhm.
It's
Exactly.
just like humans. So, you
I
know?
have one more thing for Tom. Let me ask you this. Maybe Ken and Rachel experienced this. I was by my mom's house with my dad. We were outside having a cigarette. I was sitting down on the ground. My dad was on the bench to the wall. And I'm just looking, and I happened to see these clear orbs. There were a bunch of them in a circle.
Mhm.
And I kept looking. I tried to take a picture, but it wouldn't come out. It was a big, I'm talking about big, massive circle of clear orbs. What does that mean?
Sasquatch is going somewhere. That's all I
How they
know.
travel.
That's how they travel.
That's how they travel? You said
The orb energy, they talk about the orb energy a lot,
Mhm.
but they also refer to us having orb energy. We just aren't aware that we do.
That's one of the manifestations of it,
okay.
of orbs. There's others that I don't understand. I don't start to understand. I have pictures that you wouldn't believe of orbs.
I got
A
a
year or
purple
two
one.
ago, we were in. Yeah, what?
I got a picture of a purple orb in my backyard. I'm going, what is that thing floating in my backyard? That's before this all happened, and I'm going, am I seeing what I'm seeing? It was.
Mhm. Yeah.
I said, snap, 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 snap. Then I took a video of it. I'm going.
And I don't think they're limited. You know, if you're away from, Thom, have you experienced your teacher being with you away from?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
He's been to Georgia with me. He's been to Oklahoma
they
with me.
stay with you.
He's
They,
been in
no matter
Canada
what,
with me.
yeah.
Wherever they want to be, they go.
And
Oh,
I've said
yeah.
that many times, they're anywhere and everywhere they want to be.
They're not.
Mhm.
And
held
Ken
to-
has told me they have limitless boundaries. Limitless boundaries. There are no boundaries for them. They can be wherever they want, whenever they want to be. And
They
that's simple. It's as simple as that.
Space and time. I mean, they really.
You know, the one thing that a lot of people get freaked out about is the whole metaphysical, woo, paranormal aspect of Sasquatch or Bigfoot. The thing that they fail to realize is there is no ability that the Bigfoot have that people haven't had the capability of doing.
Since we
They've
were created.
It's just been knocked out of them through idiotic schooling and
That was-
or lack of schooling.
Well, our DNA got twisted. Our DNA got confused. That's where the junk DNA comes from. But if the
Mhm.
helix, if the strands were straight, we would have that more direct connection again. And I think they're trying to help us straighten us out.
We've been so dumbed down and reprogrammed over the centuries that
Yeah,
Just
you know,
can't
one of the thing you just mentioned there was one of the first things that when I was told you about when I had my first conversation with my teacher, and he said that day, he said, we have no powers that you did not at one time have.
Yeah.
The difference is about 35,000 years ago, you quit adapting to your environment and started adapting your environment to you. We moved indoors.
right.
Okay. And when we did that, now we're communicating across the fire, not from ridge top to ridge top. So we don't need mind speak. We don't need telepathy anymore. In the human body, if you don't use it, you lose it.
That's right.
It's that simple.
But I believe it's there, and I believe it's locked in our DNA, and that if
There's
under certain circumstances it can be unlocked just as easily
mhm.
as it was locked. And I feel like these people are really trying to bring that into, as far as our experience having value, I think they're really trying to make that present, make at least bring it to the conscious mind more, because I think
Right.
we all know it subconsciously. I know, they could say it's a mother's instinct, but I've got one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, but I almost immediately know when something's wrong. It's
Mhm.
not just your child that you have that ability with. I've had, how many times have we thought of someone and a day or two later you hear from them and you haven't heard from them in 20 years? That wavelength is there. But hopefully
Most certainly is.
hopefully we can remember who we all are.
Mhm.
Well, we're going on an hour and 30 minutes. So
Good company in this room. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that long.
no, it don't. But I got to go because that hurricane's going to be coming. So I got to go patch up a few things around here.
You
I
have
wanted
to
to take
take-
time. I wanted to take time out and do this show for everybody. And like I said from the first show, from the screw up on the first show, I do apologize for the hour delay.
Don't worry about it, Christy. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
The world and the weather happen regardless of what you want.
We're pretty.
Right.
You're not looking to forward to a hurricane, so
No,
Right.
I'm not.
So,
I am not.
it goes the other way.
Like I said, I am so stressed out. I know what you said. Take a minute and breathe, and take a minute to meditate to get the stuff out. But when you're clashed with so much stuff, my main focus is my mom, and I am. When the doctor says she's a very sick lady, we know she's sick. But when the doctor says that to my dad, and my dad has this in his voice, and I tried to go see her today, but like I said, the hospital only had one visitor per day, so my dad has to be up there so he could monitor her,
Right.
But if something happens during the duration, which I'm blessed that she's in the hospital, because they could watch her during the storm. They could do a lot more for her than my dad can. But not being able to see her, I haven't seen her in 2 weeks.
We'll say a prayer for you, Christy.
Thank you.
yes, everybody pray for Christy and this hurricane and her mom and everything. And we'll,
you do what you need to do, sweetheart. And if you need help from me, you just have to ask, and it's there, okay? Whatever I can do to help you out.
Being my friend, that helps out a lot. Knowing that people care and prayers,
you have a lot of friends, Christy.
Yeah, and I'm trying so hard to stay strong and not fall apart. There's times where I just want to cry, and
there's nothing wrong with that. It releases the energy from you.
Yeah, it does. But I'm a strong-willed person. It takes so much to get to that point,
Hey, I remember the first time I was talking to Rachel, and I asked, are the Bigfoot in my area getting the apples? And she said, yes, they are. It brought tears to my eyes. I cried because I was happy. I was happy. They weren't sad tears. They were happy tears. 42-year-old man like me, I cry. I don't care if anybody knows.
I thought you were 71.
Oh, wait. Let me get closer so you can see my stitches. How's that, Ken?
Sasquatch said, whoa, we don't like that.
Absolute pleasure getting to talk to you tonight.
Yes, it has been absolutely an enlightening conversation, and I hope that people in the chat have really gotten to understand what these beings are really about. And like you said, Thom, the negative encounters, it's not because of them, it's because of the way the people reacted. So
when are you planning on the next book being ready?
Oh, my goal was Labor Day weekend, but I'm going to have to about Tuesday or Wednesday put it on the back burner and get ready for Labor Day weekend, because I'm going to be speaking at Marble Mount all weekend, 4 days up there. So it'll probably be middle September when it's ready.
Well, it's going to be a good birthday gift for me.
Give the website where they can go purchase your books at, Thom.
Yeah, it's really a hard one to remember. ThomCantrall.com.
There you go, people. ThomCantrall.com. Go check
with
out
my
books.
mind doing what it's doing. That way I can remember it myself.
There you go.
But yeah, I've got that set up now so that everything's available there, and it can be done either through PayPal or just with a credit card. I've got it set up with Square so that you can just use a credit card if you want to. And of course, anything ordered off there, I always sign it. That's the fun part. I'm upside down, dear.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a friend from Australia order my book, and so I signed it upside down.
There you go.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Down under.
Yeah.
I better get going because Deborah Johnson over here is telling me I better behave. So,
All right, guys.
you know,
Well, we
Thank you
appreciate
very much.
I don't know if that's possible for me.
we appreciate
going
getting the chance
against the grain. So,
Ken and Rachel, delight getting to know you. Please keep in touch with me, okay?
Absolutely.
absolutely,
All right.
everybody.
One of my encounters, and I just finished working it up, is from a lady in northwestern Arkansas.
up around
I got
Fort
Thom,
Smith.
north of there, actually.
Yeah.
Oh wow, way up in there.
Yeah. Don McAnally Jones,
Hmm.
and a great description of their encounter and photographs with it and the whole 9 yards. It's a good one, and
All right.
I've got 4 more to do, and then it's done. But
You got
the
this.
cover is done. The cover is absolutely magnificent. Michael Beers did that for me, and it's so good that I'm going to do it as a lithograph.
Oh,
And,
wonderful.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
it is absolutely fantastic. It's just absolutely gorgeous. 2 Sasquatch up on a ridge, looking down over the valley in a cabin on the edge of the lake down below it. It's with the high mountains in the background.
That is so fitting because that's what they do.
I wanted to answer
Mhm.
a question on the comment section real quick. And Patrick Noble wanted to know when my birthday was. I guess he's going to send me a birthday present.
Uh,
But it's October the
Be careful.
October the 28th, and I like the color blue.
My wife's birthday is October 26th. Figure that one out.
So it's the 28th of October, and I like blue.
He wants a
And then
blue
before-
diamond.
First, Bob Gimlin's is the 18th of October, so
18.
all represented.
October's a good month.
Mine's after Christmas, so I've got a while.
Mhm.
Mine's in
dragging it out.
April. So, well, everybody, it has been an absolutely incredible show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you all for joining in this absolutely incredible conversation.
Well, thank you for having me again.
Thom,
I
we
loved it.
love having you. We love having you.
Anytime.
You're part of the family. And Ken and Rachel, same to you. You're part of the family. Christy, I know you want to get going because you've got a hurricane coming and you got your mom on your mind.
Yeah.
So, with everybody,
You've got leaving on your mind. Leave me now.
If we left everybody with their head spinning, then we've done our job.
That's right.
That's right.
that's right.
Yes, that's right.
So,
You guys have a wonderful evening. Okay.
All right.
And
Thank
you
you.
too, Thom, and we will be in touch and we will do this again because you got many more shows to come talk about. Let me tell you, my friend, you're absolutely an incredible person. So are you, Ken and Rachel. Christy, thank you for joining our team here. We're happy to have you. And,
Yeah, we'll get the next weekend right. I promise you. We ain't gonna have no more delays next weekend. Watch.
Get those storms out of your way, then we can talk.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
and my
to
mom,
everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. It's absolutely incredible to have your support. And we hope
I
to
didn't
see you
realize
next
it.
week.
Didn't realize I didn't have the chat on. I guess I was too busy talking.
That's what happens when you have great conversation, you know? You
That's
just,
it. Yeah.
you know? So,
Good night.
good night, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Y'all stay safe and many blessings to everybody.
Yeah. Blessings to you, Christy.
Thank you.
I guess she's signing.
I'm gonna end it. Hold on.
Last time she stayed on.